Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul Podcast. This is episode 4 of the Manifestation Playbook series. And I could not be more excited for this one. Honestly, this whole series is giving me life because I know that you are getting information here that is really not talked about in this way. If it is talked about, a lot of times it's not talked about in this way. So to be able to provide this to you and then kind of just to wait and see what your manifestations bring is really exciting for me. So let's dive into this week's episode, which is all about embodiment and inspired action. Ooh, two of my favorites. This is where you're starting to become the frequency of what you want. Now, let's get real here for a minute. Embodiment is the step that most people just skip in manifestation. They skip it. It's honestly the reason that your vision board stays on the board and with just these pretty pictures on it rather than your lived reality. It's the reason that you don't get what you want. And the thing is, and the reason is that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. Okay, so I'm just going to say that again. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. You get where you're vibrating. And what embodiment does, which is so freaking powerful, is that it really closes and collapses the distance between who you are now and who you're becoming, who you're aspiring to be. Because remember, we talked in one of the previous episodes that you are going to call and you have to vibrate at the frequency of the thing that you want. And what did I say to you? I said, if you don't have what you want, that is a clear sign that you're not vibrating at that frequency. So you know that in some way, you have to become someone else, someone different in order to have the things that you want, in order to vibrate at that frequency. Now, this is where people get tripped up. And they're like, including my husband, actually. My husband says this all the time. I don't want to become somebody different. I like who I am. I'm like, that's wonderful. I'm not asking you to become a completely different human being because I fell in love with this version, okay, of you. And I want some of the, like all of the great aspects to move forward. However, there are some things that you are not yet. There are some things that you haven't allowed yourself to embody yet that make you unable to vibrate at the frequency of the things that you want. So if you want those things, you're going to have to become somebody different in the fact of you're going to have to change up your belief system. You're going to have to change up who you think you are, because that version of you is probably not the highest and fullest version of you. So if you're like, oh, I'm just not a morning person, or oh, I'm not this, or I'm not, like, you're the one that's setting these titles and what you are and are not on yourself. And maybe, just maybe, if you allowed yourself to become a morning person, you'd actually have more time to get things done. And then becoming a morning person becomes actually an inspired action for you, because you're inspired to do the things. And if you keep telling yourself, I don't have time to do them, I don't have time to do them, well, what's going to happen? You're going to create that reality that you don't have time. And then you're embodying the person that does not have time and also doesn't know how to manage their schedule. All right. So no matter what you have on your plate, whether it's your kids, whether it's work, you're working a full-time job and then you want to create, a part-time thing in order to get out of that full-time job, or whatever you are doing in your life right now, I can assure you that if you are saying, I don't have time for the things that you want, number one, you are in a lack mindset. You are also not looking at your time enough and looking and like scheduling things out. You're not scheduling time for you. So like, I don't want to hear, I don't have time for that right now. I don't have time for this. I can't, I can never find the time. No, you're never going to find the time. You have to make the time. You have to make the time. And you can do that if you are willing to sacrifice other things. Like maybe you have to sacrifice going to bed at midnight in order to get up earlier. Maybe you have to sacrifice nights staying up late watching Netflix so that you can get up earlier. So you have to become a person that is willing. So number one step of embodiment and of any manifestation practice at all is that you have to be a willing participant. You have to be a willing participant in this journey and in all the pieces. And some of the pieces are going to come easier to you, and some of the pieces are going to be a little bit more difficult, and some of the pieces are really going to push you out of your comfort zone, and you're going to have to do them. You're going to have to do them all, okay? And you're going to figure it out along the way. Of course, it doesn't mean that you're going to pick up everything right now and run with it. No, you're going to try things on for size. You're going to try it out, see what works, see what fits for you. But at the end of the day, if you are not a willing participant at all in your journey, or you're not a willing participant in all of the parts of the process, it's going to take you a really long time to get where you want to get. And like for me, I am not willing to create more time for create more time between me and the thing that I want. Like I want to collapse that time, which means that I'm always going to have to be the willing participant to do anything. Like, all right, I have to do this. Okay, it's going to have me out of my comfort zone, but like, we're going to get it done. Ooh, this feels really uncomfortable. Okay, we're going to do it, right? Like you have to do that. And embodiment is kind of, I think that this piece right here, the embodiment and the inspired action, is really where people fall off the wagon with their manifestations. So now that I'm saying that to you, I want you to, number one, ask yourself this question. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want the thing that you're manifesting? How bad do you want to see that in your life? How bad, like Melissa Wood always says, how bad do you want to feel good? How bad do you want it? And you are going to have to ask yourself that question every day, multiple times a day. How bad do you want it? Because that will make you the willing participant. If you say, I want it so bad, then you are going to be that willing participant to do whatever it takes to get it. Of course, using morals, okay? Like, use morals here, but you're going to have to do what it takes in order to do that thing. And a lot of times that's going to be to come out of your comfort zone. I will never, ever forget that when I started my food blogging business, I had a coach, Dan Mason. He was my first real business coach, and he was incredible. And he got me to see a lot of things in like many different lights. And one of the things that he had said to me is like, was building my food blog, and he said, Tiffany, you really have to make videos, because this is like really like where food videos were becoming a thing, like watching somebody make the videos, not just the photos of it. And he's like, you're going to have to start making videos. And I'm like, oh, well, I just had a baby, and I'm like, just really not that comfortable yet. I mean, well, my baby was like, I probably about 6, 7 months old, so I'm like, oh, I just had a baby, which is still new. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, I just had a baby. And I started giving him all these excuses, and basically what it came down to is I just was not comfortable in my own skin. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And he's like, okay, no problem. Like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But like, I need you to understand that you're choosing right now. And what you're choosing is comfort over your business. So if it's more important to you to feel comfortable, then that's your choice. And that's how we'll go and coach from there from now on. And you better believe that as soon as I hung up that phone, I made a video, because what was more important to me was building that business so that I could take steps to get out of corporate America. Maybe Nico wasn't 6 months. Maybe he was like 9 months to a year. Okay. I think it was a little later on. And I just remember saying, yeah. And like that was a pivotal turning point for me, because it made me understand and realize that if I was going to do this, I needed to be willing to be uncomfortable. And I was. And let me tell you something, those videos were horrible. They were horrible. They sucked. And I did them anyway. And I look back, they actually, a lot of them randomly just popped up on my phone. You know how like your videos, like it'll show you memories. These videos were all popping up on my phone. And oh my God, I was cringing. And I could see how nervous I was, how like just so in so many different ways, because I really at the time was just getting started like with just meditation. I wasn't even like stepping into my even like physical body. I wasn't taking care of myself, like nothing. So I was a completely different person than I am today. To like see that person, I would first of all was like so proud of her, because and proud of the version that I am today, because she came so far, like never gave up, did all of the things. And that is truly what it's going to take. Okay. So when you want to start, when you embody who you want to be and embody the things that you want, it's really going to begin closing the distance and collapsing that distance between who you are now, who you want to be, where you are now, where you want to be. And the inspired action piece, that's the way to really start getting the universe to start meeting you halfway, because you need that inspired action in order for you, because you have to start to do the work. You can't say that you want the thing and then sit your butt on the couch and watch Netflix, which listen, I love to do. I'm not saying don't ever do that, but right now you've got some work to do. So you got to start doing it, and you can't make that the priority all the time. So I just want to say this too, is that embodiment is not pretending at all. Well, you know what? I take that back. Embodiment is not fake it till you make it. That's what I want to say. More than not, it's not pretending, because it is pretending and it's fun to pretend. Play pretend. But embodiment is not fake it till you make it. What embodiment is you stepping into a version of you that in the 3D reality might not be here yet and have the things that you want yet, but it's truly remembering your future, because remember, there is no time. So when you have, like, let's say you want something, right? And it's on your heart, that there are timelines open to that already. So what you're doing is and remember, like, because there's no time, you can remember a version of you, right? We talked about that in another episode, is that it's like this future memory. And that's what I want you to start tapping into. So how does that person show up every day? How does that person dress? How does that person speak? What is that version of you doing? Who's around? Who's not around? Take note of that. Because if you've got some toxic people in your life and you're noticing that in the future they're not around, what did you have to do? You had to maybe set boundaries or let go of people completely. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, nothing wrong with that at all. So the moment that you begin to embody this version of you, and that's really that end result, right? The one that you're looking for, everything stops becoming a wish and it starts becoming inevitable. You're making it inevitable as you continuously show up as that version of you. It's really, really stinking powerful. Like, I can't stress this enough. So Embodiment matters because manifestation doesn't just respond to wishful thinking. Remember, it's responding to frequency. So you can't be like, oh, I wish. You can, but then also, what are you doing to, vibrate at that frequency? What are you doing to raise the vibration of the thing that you want? Additionally, embodiment also tells the subconscious mind that it's safe to be in this. Remember, if you start to play pretend a little bit, right? Which playing pretend, and this is where people get stuck, I think, because it feels like childish. But what you're doing is you're engaging your imagination. So it's not childish, it's something that we let go of that we never should have. Maybe the most imagination that you get throughout the day is like maybe you read a book that's like makes you use your imagination. Like maybe you play with your kids, but like what are you doing for imagining your life? Right? What are you doing for feeling carefree within that? And we have to take that piece back of ourselves, of the inner child, and start to imagine life differently. Because as you start to imagine life differently, you're starting to signal to your subconscious mind that it is safe and that this is familiar, right? We want to build familiarity within the subconscious mind. And then on top of that, for your nervous system, what it starts to do for your nervous system is say, ooh, this is safe actually. Like it is safe to be in this because the nervous system doesn't like change. Nervous system will keep you in a place where you are uncomfortable because it doesn't know what is lying on the other side. So it is safer to be, it's like the devil that you know and the devil that you don't know, right? It's like it's safe to be in the discomfort rather than the unknown. And I want you to know that it is safe in the unknown. Because everything you've done, school wasn't known to you at first, right? Going to school. Driving wasn't something that you knew from when you were a baby, right? You had to learn these things. So there is safety in the unknown. You just have to continuously tell your mind, tell that subconscious mind, tell the nervous system that it is safe. I am safe. You see, I'm safe, right? Like, and the more that you do these things, the easier it becomes. That first video that I made and posted, you better believe I was so scared. So scared. I had a couple hundred followers at the time. Like, did not even have 1,000 followers at the time. And I was so scared. And most of those people were family and friends. Let's be realistic. The true OG supporters, right? Like, those people were the ones that were watching it. If a lot of them were like, not everything hits your followers. And I knew that. And I was so scared to put it out there. Did it stop me? No. Was it crazy on my nervous system? Yes. Was I sweating? Was my stomach flip flopping? I can still remember it to this day. Yes, yes, and yes. All the things. I felt it all. And I did it anyway. And that's the difference, is that I did it anyway. And then even though it was uncomfortable, I did it again and again and again and again until one day it wasn't so bad. One day it didn't feel as bad as it did on day 1 and day 2 and day 3. And then suddenly, fast forward, I'm on Instagram all the time doing stories and reels and things. I've been on the news and had to do live interviews. I speak on stages. Do you think that I would be doing those things right now if I didn't push myself out of the comfort zone on that day when my coach Dan Mason had said, you're choosing to be comfortable? No, I wouldn't be here right now. So I had to push myself out of that, unravel, heal through judgment, right? That was a big part of it. I thought that people were going to judge me. Now I'm like, go ahead, right? Like, who cares? Because the work that I'm doing here, I'm helping more people than people are judging me. So that's on the side. I could care less. So what I want you to start doing is and by playing pretend is I want you to start to do just that. Have fun with it. When I go on my daily walks, I always embody. And it's funny because I started to do this, and then all of a sudden it was presenting itself to me. And I go on my walks and I feel like I'm walking around my beach house, like I'm walking the neighborhood of my beach house. And then sometimes I can't even tell the difference between what like timeline I'm on because I feel like I'm so much in the future. So that is playing pretend. That is in my mind, right? Obviously, I'm not on the streets in my 3D reality of my beach house. I am on the streets of my neighborhood here at home. And I don't have a beach house yet in this 3D reality yet, but it's on its way. And I can embody that. And the more that I embody it, do you think that it's going to start coming to me? Yeah. And I've never embodied it the way that I've been embodying it recently. And I feel like I am that much closer every day. So I want you to allow yourself to have fun. Act as if, and if something feels too far off or feels like too much of a gigantic leap, well, dial it back a little bit. Remember that belief ladder, right? Just dial it back a little bit. But I am going to ask you to be uncomfortable. That's okay. And also, get delusional, baby. Get delusional. No, because delusion in this sense of the word is not actually delusional. It might sound and look like that to other people. To me, this this like delusion is full-blown belief that you're going to have it. Even if maybe it's not hitting your heart yet. Maybe you don't feel it and you're like, I'm just going to say it every day. I'm going to feel into it. I'm going to say it every day. One day it's going to be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Let me tell you something. The universe presented to me a vision of me on big stages. That's what the universe presented to me. This was in like meditations. It kept showing it to me over and over again. I was not ever looking for that. I did not even ever think that that was an option for my life. And I had to, and at first that felt really uncomfortable. I'm like, how's that going to happen? Oh my God. I'm like, okay, if that's there, I know that it's there. I get it. And I could see how this life path could lead to that. However, that's not something I'm looking to do. So we're going to like kind of put that on the side, but okay, see you, universe. The more I started to vision it, that it started to come to me, then all of a sudden I was intentionally visioning it, like seeing it myself because I could see where it was going. Now I have that. Now that dream that was years ago is now my reality. I am going to be in the Philippines giving a speech to 100 people, giving a talk, leading about mindset. Then I'm going to be in Dallas talking about meditation. And then I've got some other ones in the works. But it's happening. But I had to become that version first. I had to allow it in. So allow it in. I had to whenever I would go and teach a class at Spirit and Soul, I was pretending that I was in front of big crowds. I still do it to this day. I pretend that I am in front of a big crowd, no matter if it's 5 people there or 50 people or 70 people, like Lionsgate, right? Like no matter what, I still pretend that the crowd is bigger, that I'm in a stadium. And I'll have those moments throughout where I keep checking back into it, keep checking back in, feel like I'm on the stage, use more of the classroom itself, right? Like I'll use more of the space as if I'm on a big stage. I practice because you're practicing to be that version of you. You're showing your nervous system and your subconscious mind that it's safe. So the deepest truth about embodiment and inspired action is truly living as if the wish is fulfilled. You're going to walk, you're going to speak, you're going to breathe as the version of you who already has it. And you're going to start doing that and you're going to feel into it. I don't care if you have $1 in your bank account and you are manifesting $1 million. I want you walking around as a millionaire. Okay? What would it feel like? What would you wear? Don't wait until you are a millionaire to wear the styles. Maybe you can't afford Chanel right now. Maybe you can't afford that. What can you afford that feels like that gives you the vibe? I want you running on pure vibes. Okay? Run on pure vibes. Have fun. This is the part that people skip because it is sometimes uncomfortable to have childlike fun. And that's what this is. Go on pure vibes here. And you're not forcing a new identity, you're rehearsing. So be in a rehearsal state. Rehearse what it feels like to have the $1 million. What does it feel like? Walk around as a millionaire. What are you going to feel like? Carefree? Are you going to feel like not limited? What? What is it? Find out what that is for yourself. What is the essence? Remember, form and essence. What is the essence of it? And start walking around like that. And then on top of it is the inspired action. So the inspired action is what arises when you're in this state. It's going to start to feel natural, obvious. I heard Kathleen Cameron say that in her business, what she does is she says, I want to have a $100 million business. So she has a meeting with her staff and she'll say, everybody is now in $100 million frequency. I want you to act as if we're already a $100 million business. What are the things we would have had to have done to get here? I freaking love that. That's so fun, right? Like, what are the things that you would have had to have done in order to get to where you want to be? That is a beautiful way, because I know that the inspired action piece can feel a little like clunky. And that's okay if it feels clunky. You may not know the way at first. Just take the steps. Okay? But if you look at it in the way that Kathleen describes it, of like, okay, we're here. What would we have had to have done in order to get here? Well, I would have had to show up as this. We would have had to probably have this happen and that happen. And now you know the steps to get there. So you're not designing it from the bottom up. You're designing it from the top down. It's genius. It's absolute genius. So I'm sharing that with you because from now on, I am looking at my life in that way. I'm looking at it from the top down. I'm like, okay. And then my coach, Dan Martell, now who I have now, what he always says is, what are your daily actions? What are the daily actions that you would have to take in order for something to be true? So his thing is write down, and you can look this up. I'm pretty sure he has it on YouTube. It's called the Vision Amplifier, 10X Vision Amplifier, the Achievement Roadmap. That's what it is. The Achievement Roadmap. What would you have had to, like, you're going to write down all the things that you want and then say, well, if I did this one thing every single day, what would happen? It would be inevitable for you to get that thing. So I want you to start to figure out what that daily action is, and then you can't let yourself off the hook. So this is where Dan says that you need to review your goals every day, 3 times a day, minimum 3 times a day, which I love that too. And that is something that I've incorporated into my own life of seeing the things that I want, because now you're making decisions about your life from a place of, does that support the vision? And remember, and that might feel uncomfortable too, because you're going to have to start saying no to things. And that means that if you're a people pleaser, or if you have like bad FOMO, this is where things could get hard for you. And then I want you to come back to the question of, how bad do you want it? And if you want it that badly, you're going to start saying no. And when you're saying no to other things that don't support the vision, you're saying yes to you. You're saying yes to the vision. So you just have to decide, who are you saying yes to? And then your inspired actions, you'll be taking them from that state of yes. Like rather than cramming them in or trying to cram it in when you're saying yes to everybody else or everything else. So I want you to understand too that small, consistent actions build faster than gigantic leaps. Unless they're quantum leaps. But we're going to come back to that because you can't force a quantum leap. You can try to make a giant leap in the 3D reality. Chances are it won't work. However, in the quantum field, you can make giant leaps if you've been doing the small, consistent actions to then get you to a place where you've built up enough to take a quantum leap. Okay? What I mean by this is that consistency compounds. And once consistency compounds, it hits a spot, a sweet spot, where all of a sudden it will propel you forward, especially if you're working within the quantum field. It's just going to propel you forward in a gigantic way. When I was food blogging, I had heard somebody on a podcast that said that she had posted a recipe every single day for a year. And like, that's how she built up her food blog. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So I started to post every day. That was actually very hard and stressful, but I did it because remember, I was still working a full-time job. So that meant cooking, cleaning, coming up with the recipes, videoing that, a photo, like taking photos, editing the photos, writing the blog post. It was so much work, but I did it I posted something every single day for a year. Guess what happened? One recipe went viral. One recipe went viral, and then that was it. But that was months. That was like probably 6 months of me posting or more every day, until finally, boom, a recipe hit from Pinterest. And then it just went off. And then I was able to monetize my blog. I started working with bigger name brands and doing collaborations, and they were paying me. And it's made a difference. It made a huge difference. But I had to have that consistent effort and action in order for that to happen. So know that you are going to have the same thing here. Okay. The other thing here is embodiment and action, the inspired action, begin to create a feedback loop, okay? Because we have the subconscious reprogramming, okay? So as you're doing this, as you're embodying, as you're taking the aligned action, you have the subconscious mind starting to get reprogrammed, which also Billion Dollar Healer Method does this as well. It'll do it probably a little bit quicker. And then you add on the embodiment and all the pieces, and it propels you forward massively. But we have the subconscious mind that starts to reprogram. Then we have the energy begin to stabilize. You start to feel comfortable in that. And then, like I said, the quantum aspect, the quantum leaping, it starts to collapse the idea into form. Okay. So when you live as if, you call the future into the now. You're bringing it to you. Inspired action is the universe saying, let's go. It's nudging you, okay? It's nudging you forward. And that inspired action that you're taking is one step closer to the things, okay? And every step you take as your future self sends a ripple into the quantum field. And it's saying, okay, we made this, we got this part, we got that part. And it's amazing. When you will start to see massive results from this. And remember, we're combining all of these steps together that we've been talking about. So, from a subconscious standpoint, embodiment works because it removes the gap. It removes the gap of this is not safe. It removes the gap from I want to I am. And that's where I want you. And this is where affirmations play a really big role. But affirmations without embodiment don't get you anywhere. Affirmations without feeling it, like when we use our manifestors at Spirit and Soul, and I know many of you guys have them. If you don't have them, you're missing out on a huge part of your morning ritual, especially, but you can use them in so many other ways. Head to Shop Spirit and Soul Studio and type in the search manifest stirs and get yourself at least one. Okay. They will change your morning ritual. They will put you into a portal. I guarantee you that. Okay. Because we started making these when we went to go see Joe Dispenza, Brittany and I. So you're in that quantum, they're like quantum portals. Okay. So when it comes to affirmations, which we use all the time, affirmations are freaking powerful. Okay. But affirmations without that feeling behind it will fall flat. And you may not believe fully the affirmation, and the thing may not be here yet. And every time you do it, every time you say the affirmation, what I want you to do is I want you to be saying them. If you have like a hard time with it, let's say, I want you to be saying it from a future self. So if the 3D version that is here right now is not in full belief of having that thing or of that affirmation, I want you to tap into the future version of you that already has it. And once you tap into that, it's like, oh, well, she already has it. That's right. So like I can say it. It's easier. So if that's what you have to do it. Okay. Now, energetically, your posture, your voice, your expressions, your micro expressions are all going to start broadcasting the state of your future self. Watch. You will start to show up differently. You will start to feel differently, act differently as you embody that future version of you. And that right there sends a signal out to the world. This is who I am. I am this person. And when you start to send that signal out into the world, well, what did you just do? You raised your vibration. And in raising the vibration, you're now starting to call in that manifestation, which is amazing. On a quantum level, the version of you who already has what you want exists. Okay. The embodiment entangles that. It taps into that and it shows the quantum field like, look, here I am. I'm already doing the thing. Right. And it will start to become your lived experience. The more that you allow the quantum field to entangle and you're embodying it and you can feel it, it's easier to tap into the feelings. It's easier. It becomes easier for you the more and more you do it. The more and more you're telling the quantum field, you're forming it within the quantum field. So essence now starts to become form. And that form travels through because nothing can become form in the quantum field. It has to become form only in your 3D reality. So that essence now starts to trickle down into your 3D reality. And then that will become your lived experience. So do you see how this works now? It is freaking powerful. Now, you can do a couple of different practices in order to help you to embody these things. Number one, play pretend, have fun. Now, when I say play pretend, I'm not saying be inauthentic. I'm not saying to tell a stranger in the street that you are a millionaire when you are not, right? That's not what I'm saying, but you can feel like the millionaire. You can skip down that street like a millionaire. Okay. And you can say, if somebody says something, you say, I feel like $1 million because you do. But don't say, I am $1 million, right? Because that would be inauthentic. Not that you would ever say that to somebody, but you get what I mean here. Okay. So play pretend, have fun. If you're gonna if part of your thing is like, I want this certain kind of house, how would you decorate it? Well, start doing maybe little corners of your house if you can until you have the things you want. I've had this beach house thing that I bought from the town that I want to have my home in, my beach home in. I bought from one of the stores a a beach thing. I think supposed to hold shells in it or whatever. And I bought that and I have it in my room with crystals all around it, manifesting crystals all around it to begin to embody. And then inside with a shell from the beach, I also have my note to the universe in there. So you can do these little things to tap into this energy and have fun with it and play pretend with it. But the biggest thing I'm going to say to do, and the easiest thing, is dress as that version. Dress as the version of you. Put more effort into what you're wearing. Think about it first. Is that version of you going to wear that outfit? If the answer is no, don't wear it anymore. Okay? Start there because it will completely reset your energy. Complete. The other one you could do is mirror work. I mean, we have Louise Hay wrote a beautiful book called Mirror Work. We have it at the shop. You could start doing some mirror work in order to help yourself speak life back into you, to get to know yourself a little bit more, to start to unravel maybe some of those limiting beliefs, which we're going to talk about in another episode. You can also do some future self journaling, which is really fun. But any of these things, you can basically, you're writing a letter to it's like you are the future version of you writing a letter from the future to this version of you, and talking about all your adventures and what you have and how you got it. And you can write this really, really cool letter to yourself. And I love that too. So these are just little embodiment things that you can start to do, start to get yourself a little bit more comfortable with being that future version, because that future version of you is waiting for you. That future version is waiting for you to step in. And I'm telling you, once you start doing it, everything is just going to truly start moving faster. So then hang on, sister, because you're about to go on the ride of your life. Thank you for choosing this episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast to inspire you, to hopefully light up your heart, and to get you on your journey to manifestation. I'm so excited to be leading you on this path. And I just truly love this series. I hope that you're loving it too. And please make sure that you leave a review on whatever platform you are listening. They really make a big difference. And I'll see you on the next episode.